La, la, la. Leonie Dawson refuses to be categorized. Hooray! Woo! Yay! Friends, welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about how to create business growth in a downturn economy. And I'm joined today by my mate and my work friend, Tamara Protassow. Tam, thanks for coming again.
Yay! Thank you. Well, how fun. Except for talking about this
topic.
Yeah. Oh dear. It's a bit of a downer.
Again. Because last episode was also a bit of a but
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But we're here to talk about the hard topics. We're the business besties who are here to talk about all of the hard stuff and make you feel like, I've got this, even when hard things happen. So this is obviously a fairly important conversation to have, especially since I'm hearing a lot of chitter chatter about people finding it that much more difficult to sell right now than it has been in previous years. So I have a lot of thoughts about this. I want you to know that I have been selling online since 2002. I have been full-time, this has been me and my family's sole source of income since 2010. So I have been already through quite a few different downturns and global financial crises and all kinds of experiences in the entrepreneurial space. And the thing I want you to know is that there is ups and downs in all cycles of life. It is not an aberration. It's not an abnormal thing. It is completely natural, completely normal. So Tam is an avid gardener and it has the gift of all of the green thumbs and all of the green fingers.
I'm all thumbs. No, that does not make sense.
That's right. All green thumbs. 10 of them. Could you imagine what a visual?
Oh, no.
Yikes.
No, but yes, gardening, hello, seasons. Mm-hmm. There are seasons. And I think that's where you were headed with that. Before we got derailed by green thumbs.
That's right. There's harvest seasons and there's also fallow seasons. There's winter and there is summer where the pumpkin crops just take care of themselves. And so what happens is this has happened, really quite globally. So during COVID, for many reasons, there was some really big upticks in many markets, including the real estate market, including the online space, but it's not just the online space. There's many, many industries. And for example, here in Australia as well, the Australian government decided the way to move through it was to do a lot of government handouts. And also they also allowed people, and I think this is not a good idea, but to access their retirement funds very easily. And so all of a sudden people had a whole lot of cash to splash and they spent it in lots of different ways and it boosted a lot of industries. And of course, just like the cycle of a wave or a moon cycle, there is the shift as well where things become a little bit harder or a lot harder and sales don't come in as easily as it was. And I think the important thing to recognize is this is not the first time in history that this has happened. This is the always part of history. And you also have an incredible opportunity here. And this is what I want to remind people over and over again. When you are in this period where things finally, where things are actually hard, where things were a lot easier before, this is the opportunity for you to grow skills because you have probably been coasting and not doing a whole bunch of the things that you usually would. I remember maybe 6 months ago or so, I was talking to a business owner who sold at some markets and her business had been booming at those markets. And then all of a sudden things had started to dry up. And I said, okay, well, what have you been doing in terms of marketing? And she said, well, people have just been coming to the markets. And so I haven't really sent a newsletter in a few years. I haven't really created a mailing list in a few years. And I was like, So what we're actually going to have to do here is actually start doing marketing instead of coasting and relying on word of mouth and relying on just the surplus of the market to carry our business. So you get to double down and build skills and double down on marketing, on copywriting, on the hard skills that you've been avoiding taking care of. If you're in my academy or if you've got any of my programs, Big Money, Big Impact is really useful for this, as is Sales Star with helping you develop those skills and those muscles. And if you've been well, I haven't been doing any of that. It's like, okay, well, now you actually have to start doing that. You start needing to find new people and nurture those people and build up to the sale. And this is an amazing opportunity because if you do, you have built up a whole bunch of skills that are, one, going to make your business that much stronger. And secondly, what happens is that your competitors are going through the exact same situation right now. And most people will either decide to take a step back from their businesses and not go as hard and reduce all expenses, reduce all growth, reduce any kind of outlay until things get better again, or they'll exit the industry completely and they'll go find a job. And sure, new people may come in. However, they won't be entering the industry with the amount of experience and the amount of customers and the groundswell that you've already created. So your opportunity here is to actually build these skills, make your business that much more resilient. So by the time that harvest does come again, your business is that much more resilient, that much more kind of further up the, I don't want to call it the pyramid.
Well, it's just further along and more developed, really.
Yes, exactly.
More developed. And why do you think it is that people do sort of step back and kind of go, shit's not working, so I think I might just not do anything about it?
I mean, firstly, it's challenging to learn new skills, and so it feels scary. It also, obviously, if you get to a certain point where you've run out of runway with your savings or the amount that's coming in, sometimes you need to go out and get another job, which is great. I'm always for getting a job to add into it. And also, there can be a real kind of helplessness that comes up, and people don't recognize their own power and their own capacity here to be able to develop those skills and build those skills in their business. And so many people will say, I'm just not good at marketing. I'm just not good at business. I just want to do my thing and people should be able to turn up. And great, but that's only going to work during a real surplus economy. And when that's not happening, then that's not how a business is run. You actually do have to develop those hard skills.
Yeah, and I reckon that when people have been, having that success and are used to that success and it feels kind of like that's how things should be, it can feel really weird to go, I'm just not bringing in as much money as before. And it can, I think we were saying before we started recording that, it can feel really shameful to not be performing as well and to not be seen as performing as well. I think that really comes into it as well, and the choices that people make when they're, at that point where they're like, I'm having a bird's eye view here and I can see that the bottom line is we're approaching the red here. It's not good. We need more sales. Our sales are dropped off. How is this, suddenly it all becomes very personal.
Yeah. It's very true. The shame cycle is big. And also everyone starts panicking. And we've talked about Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs in our last episode, but it works really well again, because as soon as you have a threat to your money that affects your basis levels of need for security, for food, for feeling like your physical needs are taken care of, and that really pulls all of the blood out of your brain and into your amygdala, into your fight or flight center, it's just like a dinosaur is chasing you. And so you become very dysregulated and you spend a lot of time doing nothing useful because you're just really freaked out. So it's really important to do whatever you can in order to get yourself emotionally regulated again, whether that's through breath work, whether that's through meditation, whether that's through therapy, whether that's through any of the tools that you use to get yourself sorted. for me this year, I went through, I've spoken about this before, but I went through and did the process of getting my primitive reflexes resolved that were not resolved during childhood. And that made a massive difference to my anxiety levels and to my nervous system capacity. So anything we can do to build in some more nervous system capacity is huge in these areas.
Yeah, when people say to, touch grass, like actually go outside. Spend some time outside, go for a walk if that's a possibility for you, spend time in nature. These, if I don't know many people who don't have like a park that they can access. So, if things are tight, you can find things to do that don't cost money apart from a bit of time that you probably would have spent running around in circles panicking anyway. So you may as well go and like breathe a bit and look at a tree. Because, that will really help nervous system regulation, which will then help you make better decisions about where to go from where you are.
Mm-hmm. I like even just taking some analysis of your life of what's working and what's not. So for me, I noticed I was feeling extra frazzled and I was like, right, that's usually time for me to like decrease my screen time. And so now I just make weekends as like screen-free sabbatical as much as I can. Try not to touch my phone at all on Sundays and really just build in some spaciousness for my brain. Go analog, do journaling, and really like commit to connecting in with myself. And also recognizing that there is a lot not just going on the economy, but also on the political and social sides of things. And we are not built for 24/7 news cycles, and it can feel enormously dysregulating. So that doesn't take away from the fact that things are happening. We don't say, be an ostrich about it. But if you are stuck in a dysregulated state, constantly doom scrolling, that helps absolutely nobody, especially yourself, especially anybody else. And also wouldn't if there were perchance negative energy influences out there, wouldn't it be amazing for them if you could be just completely debilitated and laying in bed, frozen in fear and anxiety, and not able to function or do anything? What an amazing way to render you completely powerless.
Yeah, so, right. Right. Amazing. Right. Incredible work.
Yeah. As a Scorpio, I thrive quite a bit on fury and on retaliation against those kinds of things, against societal norms, against anything telling me I should be anything different but what I am. And so when I'm like, oh, it would actually be real useful for them just to have me stuck on my phone making money for them, the longer I'm subsumed on this fucking app not doing anything for good.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and it can feel incredibly addictive, and that's because they are, and they're designed to be that way. They're designed to take up as many hours of your time as possible, and that's how we just need to be very clear within ourselves. What actually is helping me here? What is not? Let's build some more safety guards around our life so that we can stay regulated and stay in our own power. Because all we want is for you to be able to stay in your power and go, well, what am I able to do? If this is the external situation that's happening out there, what is in my capacity to tend to? Because there's always going to be things that are in your control, and you will feel so much better when you can stay in that zone of control.
Yeah, totally.
So don't take it personally when the economy downturns. Yeah. And
it's just, the economy's in downturn. It's all my fault.
That's right.
But it can feel like it's your fault. It's all right. Just having a moment with that one. It's okay.
Right? But it's true. And also, especially if we over-associate our inner worth with our net worth, with how well our business does, that can be something that all entrepreneurs and business owners do, is start weaving those together in a way that it should not be woven together. And so what we need to do is separate those out, see ourselves as energetically sovereign and worthy and lovable. And then the business is something that we interact with in order to produce abundance for us to live on.
Yeah.
and have a more healthy relationship that way. And we could talk for probably hours about that. But one thing that we did want to talk about is when people, a lot of business coaches talk about when you reach a new revenue goal, a new like level in your business, and then making that your new normal, and that should then be the thing that you don't stray from. And we don't believe in that. And we don't think that's a healthy perspective to take. So, Tam, do you have any thoughts about this?
Yeah, kind of. Well, yeah, I do have thoughts. Of course I have thoughts. This is me we're talking about. I was thinking about this the other day, actually, and it kind of struck me that, like, it's great to have as a goal and go, yes, I would like to consistently have this income. And it can even be useful to call it your normal or your new normal or whatever. But what happens when there's a month where you don't get there, or a year where you don't get there? You know, how much ego is riding on that, and how do you then deal with it? And how do you sort of integrate that into a worldview without suddenly feeling really down about yourself, or, you know, somehow making it your own fault that has happened, when there might be those external circumstances like, you know, a global contraction in the economy or whatever. And so, yeah, I find the concept useful in some ways but problematic in others. And I think that just having a blanket, no, this is my new normal, woo, there's going to be a tripping point there where you fall flat and go, oh crap. And then there's a lot more work to pick up from it. Whereas going, yeah, this is my normal, and I am also going to make sure that my business is resilient, or that I'm resilient enough that, like, if there is a month that goes below that, I'm not going to suddenly decide that I need to give everything up and go and herd goats in Corsica or whatever. Mm-hmm. Which is my own favourite fantasy to have, of just like, no, that's it. That's enough. I've had enough of this. I'm absolutely not cut out for it. This one small point of failure means that, you know, I make it mean everything. And then I message Leonie usually going, I have decided I'm on the next flight to Corsica and I'm going to herd goats.
My favourite one was when you were running a women's circle online, and then this candle refused
far out
to
the
light.
candle.
I'm so sorry. I should have warned that.
Oh,
and
no, that's fine.
You were so on the edge about that.
It was that candle.
Oh, you
It's behind me right now.
It was you.
If people are watching the video and not just audioing it.
That's right. Oh, gosh. Someone's
if you want to see it, get on the video. Like, yeah, it's right behind me there.
Yeah, and it looks real stubborn too. It looks real stubborn. And you were driven to you were like, I had so much, I felt like so much was riding on this, and it was going to be this whole beautiful ceremony and this whole thing. And then this candle refused to speak to me, and perhaps goats, Corsica, calling my name. And I was like,
that's right.
You know what? I think we're okay though. I think we're okay. And there's been so many times where I've like gone,
right.
This fucking thing hasn't worked. Ruin my life.
Yeah. The very symbolic candle refused to light, and then when it did light, it didn't look like it had lit. It was just the most sulking, horrendous little flame.
Yeah.
But anyway.
We can co-regulate around it.
Turns out the magic was inside me all along, and I didn't actually need the external,
the symbols. That's right. Also, like, the thing when people say, like, your new normal, it's like, you know, you attain, you keep. You attain, you keep. And what I would like to offer up the perspective is the people who are saying that and who are experiencing that are in the earlier stages of their hyper growth part of their journey, and they're not necessarily yet at the maturity part of their business. And it's like they're looking at a very zoomed in graph, like a line graph that just keeps going up and up and up. And they're like, oh, it's always going to go up. And the beauty of time is that they haven't yet got to the point where something makes a shift. And I want to be absolutely upfront that I 100% thought I was going to double or triple my business every single year for the rest of my life at a certain point in my business. I was doubling or tripling my business for many, many years, got it up to $3 million, almost $3 million a year in annual revenue. before I decided to make a change in my business and simplify and streamline, because I didn't love the business that I had created at that amount. And I shifted the way that I did my business. And at a certain point, like, you get enough runs on the board, enough years on the board, and things start averaging out. Even when, like me, you're a industry unicorn, it's very, very normal for you to have really big bursts and then really like more
kind of
fallow
plateau
periods.
out. Yeah, you sort of
plateauing
plateau
and yeah. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There doesn't need to be any shame involved with that. And also I do know people that talk about exponential wealth and hitting new ceilings and all that kind of stuff. And they absolutely have behind the scenes gone through periods where they've had plateaus and more fallow periods as well. And whether they're upfront about it or not it's really on them, but I don't want to set an unrealistic expectation. And also you might be saying, yeah, but Leonie, but there's this company, this tech company, this AI company, that's this fucking whatever, that's gone to like $1 billion before it's sold. And I'm like, yeah, and then zoom out a little bit further. What's going to happen in 5, 10, 15, 20 years time? Mm-hmm. I was just reading the Adweek Copywriting Book, which is a fantastic book by Joseph Sugarman. And it was also written, oh, you've got it?
I do. I'll get it. I'll grab
Oh my
it.
God, please. It's a wonderful, glorious book. There we go.
For those who are not watching the video, I am holding up a copy of the Adweek Copywriting Handbook.
Thank you for doing the accessibility audio, babes. It's very useful. Very useful. And it's a fantastic book. However, it is written by somebody who had their massive heyday in the 70s and the 80s with their blue blocker sunglasses. He's a fantastic copywriter. It's a fantastic book. And my favorite part of the book was the testimonials at the start. And a lot of the names in there, because there was a number of people, not just one, but a number of people who had 3 names and they were the third.
Lee R. Harrington III.
There you go.
President of Harrington's catalogue.
Yes.
Oh my God. Gordon T. Beam III.
That's right.
President of Faultless Starch.
Yes.
- Bon Ami Company. Oh my
Yes.
goodness, these are great.
I know, but the first testimonial's the best. Would you like to turn to that and read what that is?
So this one, where I enjoyed the seminar and I learned a lot. I am more determined than ever to start and succeed at running a mail order business.
Oh,
That is Lee R. Harrington III.
Oh, I love that. However, there should be one right at the start by a certain Albert Gore.
No.
Yes.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Albert
You
Gore.
have a real... So this is what Albert Gore has to say. You have a real talent for promotion and writing advertisements. Albert Gore, former Vice President, United States of America.
So I've read out all of these testimonials in a very kind of mid-Atlantic kind of accent, like, oh, this was an excellent mail order catalogue. I thank you very much for your time, Albert C. Gore. So I just love that they don't call him Al Gore. It's going to be Albert Gore.
Albert Gore has given his praise for Joseph Sugarman's previous books.
Yes, but the fantastic part about it is also because the testimonials were gathered quite some time ago, that when you look through the names of the companies, including the starch company that you just shared about, there is also companies that...
There's also Omaha Steaks International, as in STEAKS. Steaks.
Oh my God, steaks. It's not just steaks, it's steaks. It's juicy,
That's right.
juicy.
As in,
There's some
word
printer
processing
copy.
exchange.
There we
the
go.
word processing exchange. I love this.
And that is exactly what I was hoping you'd find, because that right there, would you like to tell me that word processing exchange, how do you think their company has changed over the years? If we've zoomed straight out to current times, how do we think that business is doing now?
I don't think they're still there, just word processing or waiting for someone to come in needing word processing.
They would have had to fucking pivot. They would have had some real downturn years, and they would have had to shift their focus. So even though we get into these and at some point that guy would have been like, oh my God, I've just made my new normal in my income and I'm going to maintain that for the rest of my life. No, the world is actually going to change and things will shift, and we get to shift with them.
So I'm actually going to have to throw it on the floor. You might hear that.
Yeah.
There we go. It's on the floor now.
Yeah.
I'm here with you. I
As a special treat, once we finish that podcast, you can open it up and let yourself go down on a merry little rabbit hole.
Oh, you're so nice to me.
I know.
Thank
You know what you could do? You get out your highlighters and you could get out your little page markers and you could take notes. That's what I'm doing at the moment with it, actually.
Are you You've got to stop talking like this.
I know.
You just can't. You can't just keep throwing me these treaty kind of little sexy treats.
I know. You know what? And you know what you can do once you when you find some really juicy bits, you take a photo and send it to me, and we'll discuss it.
Oh.
Hello.
Oof, this is a family show. We better not go down that road any further.
Wow. Wow. Me and Tam love studying stuff. We love rabbit holes that we can journey down. So anything that thrills us, the things that thrill us. Get out a whole new journal to take our notes in. It's positively steamy.
So anyway,
Joseph Sugarman is a great way to learn copywriting from it and to develop your hard skills so that you can thrive and prosper and grow your business even during hard times. Now, we want to also talk about things that you should be doing when harvest is happening as well. And I want to say this with the full knowledge that you will ignore this when you do get there. And you'll be like, fuck, I just forgot another harvest. And that's okay. We'll all get there. So when you do have an upturn again, what we want to do is focus on putting away a nest egg of savings. If you want to set a goal of the amount of months or years of business expenses that you could put away to pay yourself, to pay wages, to pay tax bills, all those things is really useful. Try not to rest on your laurels if you can. If you can continue to actually build your marketing and skills during that time, that will be even better. You'll be even better place. Try and do what they say to do and make hay when the sun fucking shines.
Absolutely.
You also want to make sure that you don't over increase your expenses during the hay times, because you can get into this place of over investing in people and capital and not pay attention to your profit margins during those times. And so thus, when you get to these periods, it's the time to grow the marketing skills. It's the time to look at where your expenses are at. If you've over invested in capital and in people, if there's ways that you can simplify it, it's looking at all of the products and services that you offer, making sure that they're still profitable. If you need to increase your prices at all, if you need to cut some offerings off in order to keep things profitable and be able to just focus more on the high profit stuff, all of this is really, really useful uses of your time right now. Now, I noticed you just took a note. So was that about making dinner, or is it something to add to this conversation?
No. It was actually a note for myself to go to look at, because I know a couple of years ago I looked at sort of going, okay, how much in business savings do I need to have? And I haven't reviewed that since then. So I'm like, probably review that, because for me, I'm not in a hay time in my business. I'm not in a, oh, hooray, I can just kind of sit back a little bit and, it seems to be driving itself. I'm needing to market and get all of those things happening. But at the same time, I would like to be prepared and know whether the figure I had a couple of years back is still relevant.
Yeah, that's really useful. And also looking at whether the prices that you are currently charging for your services or your products are still accurate, or if you need to consider raising your prices. So, for example, I have a friend who's a massage therapist, and she'll usually come to me every couple of years and go like, oh, I'm at this place. And I was like, all right, and what are people in your area charging? Because she was at the point that she's always undercharging, but we need to like undercharge up to be still undercharging where things are at now.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you think about that raising prices, but people might feel a bit weird about it because it might be in a sort of contraction time or a fallow time. And it's like, oh, but I don't really want to raise the price because no one's buying anyway. And oh my God.
That's where like it's got to go hand in hand with the marketing stuff and making sure that it's still in alignment with kind of the industry as well, making sure that you're really being very clear about the value for people. It's also, I always like to think if you are kind of getting fully booked or your schedule is like, if you're a service provider, then that tends to be a time that's a trigger for starting to increase your prices. Also, if your profit margin has completely gone, like you're going to need to recalculate your profit margins because so many services, so many things have increased. So much has increased, including staffing wages have increased, including cost of leases, including like the raw products that you might require, including software products. Like, fuck me, the amount of software programs that have gone through the roof with their pricing recently is wild. So all of that is a good opportunity. Like, this is the time you need to start looking at that, having a reevaluate of where things are at profit margin wise and whether you need to start looking at doing an increase. I also want to put in here as well, if you are a business owner and it's your sole income source, I really, really, really want you to have a look at putting money away into retirement funds because it's very, very important. And here in Australia, for example, if you just own if you own a sole trader business or a business partnership or any kind of thing that fits in the business category, you are not required to pay superannuation for yourself. And so a lot of business owners don't do it. And you're missing out on compound interest over so many years. And I don't want you to end up being POV in your retirement years. Here in Australia, if you're a company, it's a legal requirement that you pay superannuation. So I've been in a company now for a number of years. It's usually once you've hit over 6 figures that you're in a company, that it's time to start looking at having a company. And so I've been paying retirement funds for many, many years, but there's probably 3 years where I didn't. And so now I'm very, very passionate about making sure I remind people like, hey, I want you to start your retirement fund, even if you're not legally required to doing it, even if it's just $100 a month to start off with, like even just setting it up. And it can be so much easier to set up than you think it is. I personally use Oz Ethical, which is an ethical retirement fund to do mine. It was a 5-second job to set it up. I thought it was going to be a complete pain in the ass to set it up. But what we want to do is make sure we're harnessing the time period in order to build up retirement funds, because especially if you're a woman, especially if you took time out of the workforce to have children, that you're at higher risk of not having enough funds for retirement. So please, please, please treat that as your homework from today's lesson.
Yeah, 100%. I just actually wrote myself another note to review my retirement sort of contributions and things because, you know, I've set that and forgotten about it. And, you know, there is some time that I didn't do that. And, you know, you can't really make up that compound interest, but definitely having it on the radar every now and again to just check it out and make sure that things are happening and the contributions are happening is really important. So that was my next note I just made myself, just so you know what's going on my piece of paper.
No, I knew exactly what was happening because I remember also me bullying you into.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
you did.
Oh,
yeah, you
like,
did.
Let's talk retirement funds, friends. What are we doing?
And I was like, I'm suddenly really busy elsewhere.
That's right. I don't want to have this conversation.
I have a prior engagement. And I was like, no. These messages will still be here when you get back to them.
That's right. That's right.
We could do it now, or we could do it later. We could just have a chat. We could keep going. It's like, we'd like to talk to you about your car's extended warranty. It's just always going to keep going around.
Tell you what, if anyone is out there listening and they haven't set up their retirement fund and they go and do this homework, if you email in support@leoniedawson.com, we would choose one of those emails and I will send you out a 2026 goals workbook as a prize to reward the people who are starting to look after their financial future. So you're welcome, friends. Ooh. You're welcome.
Ooh.
All right.
Big words.
Big words.
I hope people do email in. That would be nice.
That would be so good, right?
So good.
So good. Okay, so last of all, what I want you to remember during this whole thing about creating business growth and financial growth in a down economy, the thing I want you to remember is that this has happened for all of human history. This is not a new invention. Even before capitalism was invented, we had feasts and we had famines. We had shit go down. I always think about my three wise elders, my grandmother Marion, her sister Lucy, and Nan, the little old lady who lived down the road. And they went through so much. They went through 2 world wars. They went through the Great Depression. They went through so many upturns and downturns in their lives. And the thing that it reminded me of most of all is that we are resilient. Humans are resilient little motherfuckers, and our ancestors, we have this long, unbroken, successful line of ancestors who prevailed even when shit was hard, who innovated and changed even when things were hard, and they made things work to feed their families and to feed themselves and to continue this important work. So I want you to know that you are not alone in this time of stress. You are not alone in this period of political unrest. In fact, Stoicism was invented during a period of enormous political unrest. There has been so much over the course of human history, and it doesn't preclude us from being able to survive and thrive and create good things to come. So I want to end it there, and I want to remind you to look after your financial future, set up those retirement funds and email in. And now's the time to double down, build some new skills. Thanks, Tam. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.